The following program is a project of the students of Morphos Training for Television and Film, a project of the Mohammed Amin Foundation, supported in part by a grant from Open Society Initiative for East Africa. The views expressed in this program are not necessarily the views of the Mohammed Amin Foundation or Open Society Initiative for East Africa.
Tangu zamani haki zetu hatukujua, umefikia wakati wako nami kuchukua hatua. Haki na ukweli tumekuwa tukililia, wazee kwa vijana kuwa
Let's get up for the band. Nice.
We have an awesome crowd tonight. Give a hand for yourselves. Good evening, Kenya. I'm Ann Mitara Mumina.
And I'm Jimmy Gathi. Welcome to the HATUA show. It's about being aware, taking responsibility, and above all else, taking action to create positive change in society. This show, HATUA, is about you and me and the role you and I can play in creating a better future for this country called Kenya.
That's right, Jimmy. Today's show is amazing. It's about
Calm down.
It's about something that stirs passion in every Kenyan's heart, at least most Kenyans' heart, the Matatu industry.
This is going to be a crazy show. It is estimated that the average Kenyan spends a quarter of his life in a Matatu, a quarter. While for a driver or conductor, it's a third. The Matatu industry plays a great role in our lives as Kenyans. The industry has been blamed for being chaotic and lacking basic structures. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us. We are back on the HATUA show. Today our issue of discussion is the Matatu industry.
There have been claims of harassment by the police and cartels on Matatu operatives. Also, the Wananchi complain of ill treatment, overcharging, being taken way beyond your bus stop. The list is endless. The blame game continues. The Police and Transport Licensing Board also blame Wananchi for encouraging the flouting of traffic rules by the operatives. Debatable. Clearly, it's an industry in disarray. How can we sort out this chaos? Let us watch the feature before we start looking for answers to the many questions by many people in the Matatu industry.
Since Mheshimiwa Mishuki went out of that industry, it is really too bad.
Tunakaa hapa mpaka saa 4 imagine. Wamama tunapata shida, wasichana tunapata shida, hakuna vile tunaweza kuingia. Inakuwa ni wanaume mnang'ang'ania.
Fair. Kusonga kupanda fair every now and then.
The government is to be blamed.
Actually, we lack what we call regulations.
It's the way it is because of the Mwananchi himself.
Since 2004, February, when the so-called Michuki rule came into being, we saw a change, a great change in the industry that was chaotic for a period of 35 years.
We know as operatives and people who are providing this service that we are not perfect, but we disagree with the manner in which these policies and anything that is related is being done without taking my opinion into consideration.
Ukishiko tuseme wa siku moja safari kama 3 unasikia kitu kama 15,000 imeenda. Sasa hiyo ni kazi gani?
Akisimamisha gari lazima washuke na conductor.
Yaani kazi ni conductor tu.
Kama uko sawa lazima washuke na yeye. Anakuandikia tauti.
Sasa tauti ndio nini?
Ile kuita watu.
Eti kuita watu waingie gari. Ukiangalia anafanya na hii gari na ana uniform. So we don't know whether he's a makanga here or not.
Tunafanya kazi, sasa kuiba tunaiba. Sasa nashindwa niko na light yangu ya kubeba wadhi ama sina.
Anaandika picking passengers along the road ama kujavaa mzigo, hujavaa nini. Kwenda kotini judge hajui namna hiyo. Anasema hiyo ni 5,000.
Their rights are being inflicted upon, and they need to come together as workers in that particular industry to ensure that, just like in the developed world, the workers union, the Transport and Allied Workers Union, is the most powerful union in the world.
45 years down the line since independence, they are still Kenyans, and in particular Matatu industry, that cannot follow the law until they are pushed or they are punished.
I know you have witnessed when we are being arrested. It's an exercise that is meant to humiliate, strip one of dignity completely. It is done with pleasure and zeal that makes you wonder whether these gentlemen actually get kicks.
We feel this is done by the law enforcers to add value to their performance contract, maybe earn credit by the number of vehicles they have impounded, by the number of the employees, the drivers and conductors they have arrested.
If you leave transport to individuals, if you do not have a serious regulator, to expect police to enforce this is not going to be there.
Kina Kimutai and Bogwa, they are claiming that they want self-regulator. Let them begin by making sure that their conductors and their drivers are compliant.
Our leaders have done the same thing. They talk of, we are suffering. They are not suffering. The operatives are suffering. They talk of, we have all failed. Who has failed?
Wengi wamejaa industry ya jua touting, legal correcting. Na ukiuliza mtu na unasikia hata rudi kwa kiti umekaa na dikizo legal correcting na touting.
Many of the rules that regulate this industry have no meaning, they have no significance. They're just revenue collecting.
A month we are getting close to 40 million shillings from traffic fines which are coming as a result of people floating the traffic rules.
I just wish Kenyan wake up and realize that there is need to follow the law. Just go to a neighboring country, Uganda.
Matatu has nothing to do with being like Uganda, like the rest. Kama uko kwingine duniani. Who wants to be like the rest of the world? We first want to be Kenyans.
What we need to do is to create a transport system that is sustainable, and a transport system that encompasses every aspect of people in the industry.
I am not here to justify the evil that my people are doing. I am for those operatives who are interested and only interested in this industry giving the best of itself. They deserve an opportunity. They should not be bundled up together with the rest.
The people working in the Matatu industry should be more lenient to the customer.
Makanga hawana kitu mbaya. Makanga ni mtoto kama mtoto yule mwingine. Na ni mtu kama mtu yule mwingine.
Most of people, whatever happens, they have to go to work. They have to earn a living. And since Matatu is the only way out for majority of the people, you find it's very hard to challenge them. Kenyans or Nairobians specifically have not been able to fight for their rights.
Mimi nashangaa 40 million bwana. Hiyo ni chapa mob in fines per month. Anyway, we've got a face to this discussion. Let's give a warm round of applause to our guest, Brian Bonia!
Hi, Brian. Have a seat. What do you do? Tell us. What do you do?
I've driven for a long time. I've driven for just about 16 years or so.
16?
16.
Wow.
I have operated on quite a number of routes over that period. 23, Kangemi, number 4, Isli. Isli basically, and Eastlands has been more of my operative areas. Yeah.
Exactly. The challenges that you face as a Matatu driver must be immense. Just in the feature, you're talking about how sometimes mukishiko bana, it's very demeaning. You basically nika kuaibisha mbele ya watu. But true. You know, just tell us some of those things, and of course I'll ask you, the last question would be, then why are you in this industry?
What can I say? The Matatu industry, to me,
yes,
has really helped me understand my people. And I'm talking about Kenyans. It's about us. Everything about us is in it.
Maybe you could explain that. What do you mean? Everything about us is in the Matatu industry.
You see, each and every one of us has had to contribute something for its operation. The way we behave, the way we react, our choices, they've been molded somewhat to some degree by this industry. We've helped promote our musicians, our local musicians.
Are there any problems you face in the industry that you've been in for so long?
Certainly, problems are just part of this. Yeah. You can't be in this industry and think that you'll have it easy. It's impossible.
You know, I'm just wondering, Brian, 2 questions for you from me. One is, I mean, you seem very comfortable in this industry. And to me, and of course, we think you guys open yourselves wide open for police brutality, flouting traffic rules, you know, carrying passengers who are more than has been determined by the law. So I think you open yourself wide open when you
overcharging.
You know, overcharging. You decide, okay, hii route kumeja, we're supposed to end at, let's say, GSU, we'll turn at Utali and turn back. You open yourself wide open, Brian. So why should we, the people who you serve, support you in your cause? And yet you do not give us a service that we pay for, Brian.
I'll not defend the obvious evil.
So it is. So you agree it is obvious. You agree,
it's
Brian?
Not. It's not.
You to chapa to
it's not. Evil is not a preserve of my industry. Evil is everywhere. So please don't try and make it look like it is exclusively a characteristic of my industry. That's not true.
We can argue on that. We can argue on that one.
Yeah, true. We can debate on that. However, for example, the way I operate.
Right.
If we are going to turn off the end point,
yes,
my conductor will have to alert the passengers. And those are the ones that we do check. If, for example, we know that or we encounter the kind of jam that surely even our passengers seated there are many who will opt to walk.
So you turn back?
Yes, we'll have to turn back.
But what about the people who needed to get to where you said you were going?
That's what I'm saying. Now that depends on the drivers or the crew's judgment. You see, it could be that there's a patient there. You see, someone who's sick. Now that you have, I mean, social obligation. You just can't turn it back.
But a lot of the times that I've been in a matatu and they've turned around, it wasn't about whether there was a sick person or not. They just didn't care. There's traffic. We don't want to go into this traffic. Get off. We need to go back.
And if you don't like it, pana matatu wengine. How many have experienced that? Tuko wengi, Brian. Tuko wengi, bwana. Tuko wengi.
Certainly, I know there are things that are not always good that we have to do, but also we are also pushed by other forces. One of them is the turnover at the end of the day. I have a job to keep. And only keep my job
if you deliver.
If I deliver. And I must deliver.
Point. So what you're saying is your superior tells you, Brian, I want what? Give me a figure, 6,000 bob at the end of this day. I don't care how you get it, Brian. I want 6,000 bob on my table in the evening. Is that the target you're saying?
No.
So either way, I don't care whether Jimmy anajisikia kufika home kulia ugali alikuwa anangoja na wife yake, bisijali. Jimmy unashukia hapa na kama upendi nunua gari yako. Is that it?
He may not put it that way.
Yeah.
But he will mention something about the other vehicle having done something yesterday that. Now you see, he's not
That's
telling.
That's a challenge, yeah.
Now he's not telling you directly that you are underperforming. You see, but he's telling you like, man, pull up your socks. Now.
That's a tough job, right?
I also understand what is pushing them. They have got loans. Some of them are very desperate. They put their entire savings, pensions, land, property. Their kids' fees depend on what I'm doing.
I see what you mean.
I see those kids.
I understand. And in the same breath, I need to go to work so that I can get my daily bread, so that I can also pay for my land, my fees, my food.
And my Matatu.
And I honestly don't have a car. And it's not a crime not to have a car. And so I need you, who has said you will take me to X, to take me to X. And I'm going to pay you for that. Why do they now decide, oh, it's too much work now, let us turn back or overcharge me? You see, there are inconsistencies in the industry, and we're here to say why. What can we do? How can it change?
Exactly. Now, that's the beauty of it. You see, you want to push me into doing what you want to happen, but you not help me push for the right environment to get it done.
Environment.
Yeah.
And who can create the conducive environment for Matatu drivers and touts to operate?
Good.
Owners?
No.
Who?
For example, if you're working for the insurance industry, you should lower your tariff, you should lower your premiums. Definitely. That is going to influence my employer to stop feeling so pressured.
Akina Dixon.
Yes.
Last question before I take a break, Brian. I have a question for, come on, Brian, you speak so well. I'm sure there's some people about Korea and say, na huyu driver matatu bwana ana kizungu noma sana. You sound like a guy who can, maybe a good marketer, you could be a good speaker. Why this, Brian? Come on. Every day you're subject to people saying, it's noise, you've got pressure from Bwana Mbogo na matatu yake could deliver. Why this job, Brian?
It's just fantastic.
Job.
I love to deal with people. I meet so many different people. We talk. There is no pretense.
I want to ask you one last question.
It's not there. It doesn't exist.
Wow.
One last question before going to break. You've worked on many routes, as you said, in the last 16 years. One, has the Matatu industry gotten better or worse in the 16 years? And secondly, are there some routes where the rules are flouted more? You don't have to mention the routes. Is it obvious, hey, if you're on this route, you can do anything, and if you're on this route, you have to watch what you do?
First, I'll correct you.
Right?
I think you already have a mindset. You're putting it as in anything. No. It's not like that. We know, we obey the traffic rules. We just bend them. That's it. Now, there's a difference. You see, if I take advantage of a vehicle that has stopped, Jimmy, in his new car.
Yeah.
He stopped in front of me. He's letting you off. And you've got one foot on the road, and he has to give you a last word. So as he's doing that, I get rid of my passenger. I use that opportunity to have my one passenger alight. Now, if there's a cop ahead of us, he'll wait. He'll not be in a hurry. He'll be watching all this. Jimmy is going to go right by him, but I will not get away with it.
Oh, man.
Never.
We'll find an answer to all the questions that we're asking about in the industry when we come right back.
asubuhi na mapema, eti aenda kazini, bibi afikiri kuwa ye mkurugenzi, kumbe anapiga lami. Simu yalia, madama amemupigia, bwana uko wapi? Asita sita, badala ya kumjibu, kisha atamka, I'm at the no pocket, it's such a busy day, my mind is tired baby, I don't know what to say, I'm at the no pocket, it's such a busy day, my mind is tired baby, I don't know what to say.
Chris Adwa and his boys, man. Nice one, nice one. Welcome back. Hii ni HATUA show. Our topic of discussion today is the Matatu industry. We have been looking at the world from through Mbudhia's eyes. But also in the studio today, we are joined by Mr. Cosmos Ngeru from Transport Licensing Board. Welcome. Bwana Cosmo, mimi niko na swali tu moja kiasi because I'm wondering what the role of the Transport Licensing Board is in as far as regulation. Hii industry imeenda haywire, hatuwezi control ama that's what your organization is all about, sir?
The Transport Licensing Board is the government regulator of the road transport subsector. By regulation encompasses licensing of vehicles that operate in the industry, public service vehicles, commercial vehicles. For public service vehicles, we issue even routes where they are supposed to operate, and general overseeing of the operations after the licensing. But let me hasten to add that there are several actors in the industry, apart from the TLB. Once the TLB as licensed operators, we have the enforcers of the law, that is the traffic police. We have the insurance industry that issues insurance. We have the vehicle operators, my friend Mbugwa behind me here. So it's the regulation and ensuring that is order in the industry involves all that group of people. The GLB is the government arm that licenses and regulates.
But when you talk about licensing, and I don't know if you're the right person to ask this question, there are many unroadworthy vehicles on our roads. You get in and hope you get to where you're going. Do you license those?
Thank you very much. I left out another very important department, that is the Vehicle Inspection Unit. They have the mandate of ensuring that vehicles...
Falling under which arm?
Falling under the police, the Office of the President, and partly the Ministry of Transport in terms of policy.
Right.
Their role is to mechanically check and certify that vehicles are compliant. Once they have checked, the vehicle owner gets something called a vehicle inspection report. Our licensing is based on the provision, on the presentation of that document. But let me also add that once the vehicle inspection have inspected, which they do once in a year, and considering the type of roads we have,
it may deteriorate within the year.
It may rate within 1 month, but the police are on the road to ensure that an unroadworthy vehicle does not operate in the road.
Mr. Mukabana, welcome. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Mukabana. Now, you're an expert in as far as transport is concerned. Are we blaming the wrong people? I mean, in the feature you said that you cannot be able to give the police perhaps the authority, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in regulating or structuring this industry. Have we lost? Have we lost in this fight? Are we blaming the wrong people, Kina Brian, or should we actually be looking at Mr. Dixon and asking, how should we do it, sir?
I think it's the way the industry has been organized in the past. When you run an industry of Matatu, basically what you are running is a paratransit operation.
Oh, say that in English.
I'll explain what a paratransit is.
Okay.
It is a mode of operation where it is informal, it thrives on illegalities, It has got non-scheduled services. It depends on private sector, and like in the Western world, where it is the government sector. So it is a very loose structure.
Sorry, let me just cut you short. We're also joined by Mr. Mbugwa of the Matatu owner. He's branding the Matatu industry. Irregularities, unlicensed. Do you agree with what he's saying?
Partially, yes.
You agree?
I would want to agree with what he's saying.
Okay.
But on the other hand, there's a situation whereby the investors in this sector have never been given opportunity or empowered really to rein in and fully regulate. Because if you remember that the Michuki rules, for the first 3-4 months, they were very effective. And the reason for them being effective is because we as investors really supported those safety rules.
But you almost went on strike, sir. You almost went on strike.
Yeah, originally, but after seeing the concept.
Yes.
After seeing the concept.
It is us wananchi you said, what? Misuki mimi sisi tuko na wewe.
But
I went on strike, Bwana Mbugwa.
After seeing the concept and the logic behind this,
you agreed
safety,
to...
we agreed.
Okay.
And we fully complied.
And
we fully supported for the first 4 months. Then there came a directive that we should be faced and move away from managing the routes, moved away from the termini. So that created an opening for other amorphous group that came in. So and the drivers and conductors were left without shipping. So,
you know, at the end of the day, this industry is there to support the commuter. Isn't that right? Yes. So then, if a terminal is being managed by someone, and it's not the owners. Well, our question is, we're going round in a circle. Exactly. How are we going to ensure that the commuter is able to, get good communication and transport systems?
That has been the bone of contention between us, the investors, and the government. And recently, we created POAC, which is as a result of a merger between MW and MOA. And POAC is going really to liaise and collaborate with the government for the purpose of reforming the sector from informal to formal.
I don't know.
Budhia, I mean, come on.
Let me tell you something.
You know what? I'm saying now, in fact, I should be sitting here.
Yeah, please.
Can I wear your cap? Okay, sir.
Yeah, sure.
No, I don't know whether it's me, but I think we're blaming you, and it's not your fault.
No, you don't know who to blame. That's the problem. You see, Mbugwa and the consultant, they both know clearly that they had nothing to do with the birth of this industry, other than investing, purchasing the unit and handing it over. In fact, it's the only industry that does that. You use 1 million or 2-3 million of your money, hand it over to a stranger, and believe in him to give you some returns. Okay?
Is there anyone who wants to say anything from the audience? Because I don't quite grasp what, with due respect, what we're saying here.
I think
one thing we are getting it from the regulator, the TLB, that they're saying that they are there to regulate the industry. They're also saying that there are also a number of other players to an extent that they are not responsible for the regulation of the industry. They're saying that everybody else is responsible. I think that this is one sector where the mwananchi is really suffering. It's one sector where Matatu tout throws you out, abuses you, does anything, cuts a route short, and the TLB officials, they know this. Their brothers, their sisters, even them, they go through this. Yeah, the Mbugwa team, everybody else is going through this, and it's like it is not happening. Right. We need to face it real and say that this is not what we want for our people.
What do you say,
our people.
Brian, come on.
What I'll say is this. I know for certain that you cannot get into my unit every single day and get abused every single day. There must be something wrong with you. Don't blame me.
Let's hear what this young man has to say. Niaje jina yako na utombe maoni yako mazee.
Mimi naitwa Nathan na mimi pia hutumia matatu, especially namba 9. Na I'll agree with the driver Brayo. The audience huo jamaa hapo amesema sijui unatupwa nje. Hakuna vyovyote makanga atakutupa nje kama hujamuongelesha vibaya. Ni sisi commuters kwa mind yetu, in our mind we've created a conception that hawa watu wa matatu, huyu makanga ni mtu ovyo. Sasa unaongea mbaya. Ukiongea mbaya atakujibu vibaya.
I don't think that's the issue.
Yes.
There are rules about, for example, how many people can sit, okay? How many are you supposed to sit?
14.
3, right? And they put one more person and you say, why are we getting one more person? And you'll be told what? We'll throw you out. Does that happen? Does it happen? It doesn't happen on your route.
And this is one sector where, I mean, even there's nowhere to complain. I mean, imagine that the route has been cut short. Yeah? You are getting somewhere. Imagine mtu ametoka home. Toka hata mbali, umemwambia chukua namba 23. Amepanda hiyo 23. Anatukia sijui 23 sijui ni ya Umoo. Hata si ya kule mali anaenda. Anatukia sijui anaambiwa shuka hapa. Na huyu jamaa na mzigo. Huyu jamaa ametoka Ocha. He doesn't know where he's going. Ameambiwa ukifika mahali fulani, shuka. So, here's Brayo. Anasema he's decided maybe kuna jam, ya turn. Ama because of some reasons hatujui, he has to cut short the journey. What happens to you? Ama you wake up one morning, you have your fare, umepewa, we ni jamu wa shule, umepewa hii chapa, alafu napata fare imepandishwa. There's nowhere to complain. Na hata huyu jamu wa TLB yako hapa. What do they do about that? And they know about it.
Wacha respond bwana. Wacha respond bwana. Tumemchapa sana. Wacha respond bwana. Tumempiga mablo bwana iko hapa. Wacha respond bwana. Cosmos.
Before I respond, I want to say that the state we are now in terms of public transport, it's very unfortunate that all of us have contributed to the problems that we are in now. Let me begin by the commuters. The problem is that us Kenyans are so docile and we have refused to embrace laws. If you go to Uganda today, if you add just one person, the rest walk out of that vehicle. But as Kenyans, when we started very well, and agree with Jimmy that my friend Mbugua and his team went on strike. They just didn't want to go. They went on strike. We removed those people from the stages because they were extorting investors. 60,000 before you put your matatu there. And the law is very clear that that function is for the local authorities. And we have told them that where they have failed, they should privatize. But I think where we are now, where people get abused in vehicles, allow themselves to be overloaded in vehicles, is because Kenyans are in a hurry to reach their destination, irrespective of whether they're going to die in the process. The success of the 4 months was because the Kenyans refused. They would report a police scene to be taking bribery on the road. They took charge of their destiny, and in the middle way, they laxed. We have to go back to that 4 months.
I see you shaking your head, Mami. Are you agreeing with what he's saying, or are you disagreeing, Mama? Tell us your name.
My name is Margaret Mariga.
Margaret, karibu, Margaret, karibu.
Yeah, I do agree that the Kenyans have to take control of their destiny. It is the Kenyans themselves who actually allow some of these things to happen to them. Because if an additional person is put in the matatu, the other passengers have a right to say no. But we don't, particularly the ladies like us. If you comment, you are then told, Mama, out. There's even that. So I think we need to take, like Jimmy said, not Jimmy, Brian said, this is an industry that affects all of us as Kenyans, and we need to be in charge. Like, we were successful within the first 4 months because everyone was in charge.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone. The students, I'm the teacher from Aquinas High School, and also an owner of a Matatu.
Let me cut you short, Mom. Come on, Brian. Your response to this. Clearly, it looks like you're bearing the brunt of all this. It looks like you're the one who decides, not really your owners. You're the one who decides where your matatu will stop, where you'll drop people, how you will drive it. You're going to jump a red light. That's your problem.
Jimmy, I'm alone in this. I'm at the final, I'm the one who's in between the customer, the policeman, Mr. TLB and his useless regulations, the consultant who thinks that I don't know what I am doing, yourselves who are quick being judgmental. You quite don't understand what's going on here. The business, I've got poor customers. I have got middle class customers. I've got rich customers. I must know what I am doing before the Mishoke regulations. They call them regulations. I used to be encouraged by the customers themselves not to leave that one passenger. Are you listening? Usimwache huyo. The vehicle is full. I want to go.
Can I just, we need to take a break right now. Let's just take a break while it's still hot. We'll be right back on our tour. Nikunoma, usiende. Nikunoma.
Welcome back to the HATUA show. It's big and it's heated. Just before we went on break, Mr. Mukabana, you had something to say as our transport consultant. Yes.
What I wanted to mention to Brian is that you're doing a very hard job and a very important job. But I'm sorry to mention to you that you do not know how to help yourselves. Woo! You have gone into defense. You've gone into denial. What you need is a lot of assistance, and I'll try to tell you how you need assistance. One, you need to be organized. For you to have a driver's association or something like that. Two, you need a union. A union that will fight for your rights for you to be. You are the most abused people. You don't have house allowance. You don't get off duty. You have got no leave. You have got no travel allowance. You have got no pension. You have got no NSSF. You wake up from morning, but you don't know. So what you are doing, in my view, psychologically, you are fighting the public. And what you need to do is for you to organize yourselves, just like the Matatu owners have organized themselves, to be able to fight for your rights to come out of what you have. You require training. You could be in the industry for 16 years, but perhaps if I ask how many trainings, like say Jimmy has gone to make himself where he is, perhaps you haven't gone through this. And you require a system that enables you to access this. You will require maybe on international organization, NGOs. The Matatu industry has got no NGOs at all, no support groups, completely. They don't even, and you require this.
So, Mr. Mukabana, I mean, are you saying that the Matatu drivers and the touts have been detached from the very people who are supposed to protect them, which is the Matatu Welfare Association? Are you saying the Matatu drivers do not belong to the Matatu Welfare Association?
They do not belong to the Matatu Welfare Association because in most cases, the Matatu Welfare assists the Matatu owners in one way. So that is why you find there is a bit of rift, Matatu owners, Matatu, but in essence is to take care of the Matatu owner. He is a cog in a wheel. He's been sandwiched into it.
I'll interrupt you, sir. First, I'm touched by your concern. But you've made a few mistakes in that, number one, you think that I need training to know exactly how to deal with my people. Please realize that we have pushed the KBS out of business, out completely, and yet it is using formal structures, and it is consulting with people who are well-versed with how it's done elsewhere in the world, just like you mentioned. But our entrepreneurial spirit and our market knowledge has enabled us to kick them out. You may disagree with me.
In Matatu is attrition.
Let me elaborate.
Where you have one Matatu coming in and another one going out and another one coming in. They are not the same player. Tell me any Matatu industry player who has grown to be big. Very few. So they are not building. For the issue of Kenya Bus, it is an issue of where you have an uncontrolled people fighting the controlled people. It's not the same level ground. You can cut corners. Let me ask you, whoever forced the Kenya Bus person to put on a uniform? Did they ever cut routes short?
And I'll ask you
Were they not scheduled? Didn't you? Did they ever throw people out for not paying fare?
Who says that you can force me to put on uniform? Who says?
Uniform is a branding. If you don't know why you need it.
What I hear you saying, Mr. Mkabana, is that there are rights that the Matatu drivers that are not being recognized and are being violated.
Yes, and they need to brand.
And the owners, why don't you ensure that your employees' rights are
protected?
What is the welfare?
What is their risk? I'll answer that question for him.
Okay.
I know I am the victim. I'm the victim here.
Oh, okay.
Before we come, okay, maybe Mr. Mbugwa, do you think your rights are being violated?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yes.
And yes.
First and foremost, you don't know what it means to deal with a policeman. So listen to me. A policeman doesn't need a reason to have you arrested.
Brian, you need to stand for your right.
You're my customer.
Say that again, mommy.
Certainly.
You need to stand for your right. You're a Kenyan.
Okay. We were with Mr. Mbugwa.
Mr. Mbugwa, please
How
respond.
is it that you do not ensure that the people who work for you day in, day out, night in, night out, continue not to have NSSF, NHIF, that everyone, has pay as you earn, and all these things, the benefits, the leave allowance? How? For 16 years? How?
Well, it's a long history. There's a long background of this.
So
in the first place, I'll just give it very briefly.
Right.
In the first instance, the sector came into formation from late 60s, 70s without any structure, any administrative structure, until very recently, after the Michuki rules. That's when those statutory deductions started permeating in and coming in.
But do you think the owners are selfish?
No, they are not selfish. What it is that they have been lacking that kind of organization, that kind of unity, really.
Conveniently, right? Conveniently, it's okay. If they don't organize, it's okay.
No, right? They have been lacking that unity to propel the interest of their welfare, of the workers, and other crews. But right now, as we are talking, they have come forward and we have allowed them to form their own association. In fact, it's in the pipeline.
I'm just wondering, so you're saying that you're working
the
towards...
drivers and the conductors already, they have already presented an application for their own welfare association.
But should that have happened, Mr. Mbugwa? I mean, they work for you. They work for you guys. Surely you should protect them as your employees.
There's a limit you cannot go beyond. As Ibrahim Kamara just tried to say.
No, excuse me.
That.
Okay, Brian.
No, hold on. Before Brian responds, let's hear a question from the audience.
I'm Doris.
Doris, welcome, Doris.
I do blame the Matatu drivers because, for example, like I'm not a Kenyan, I'm Ugandan, and I ask them that I'm going to Langata number 15, and they tell me that's where they are taking me exactly. I tell them, is it Uhuru Gardens or what? And then they drop me off in a place that's not Langata. Then I ask them, where can I go? What can I do? And they're like, we can't do anything for you. Get out of our car. What am I supposed to do about that?
Yeah.
Brian?
That's very sad. I know. I remember a time. I'm sorry, because first and foremost you're Ugandan and you're a visitor, and that is truly appalling. However, I remember a time that there is no Kenyan who would rather ask anybody else but choose to ask us, because we wouldn't let them, get lost, get anything. We were.
It's changing then.
That's what I am saying. Now, I don't know when this was. I don't know whether this is after the regulations or whether this was before. Let me get through. What I do know is, before the regulations, we knew each other. We knew we could refer you to a certain route, and the people who are there.
Why is it changing? What's happening?
Yes, because that's what I was trying to get to. You see, Bogo was wrong. or he has deliberately decided not to tell us the truth. To say that there were no structures before the regulations is a lie. There were structures. They just needed some fine tuning.
I would want
the problem, Mr. Mbogwa, please. The problem was that there was a power struggle here with people wanting to take over, like you had. They call it exploitation. But these guys had put in some good hours trying to market their specific routes and courage. It wasn't Mbogwa who was approached and asked, can you please try out this route? It has got good demand. The clientele is like this. They have these specifics. It will operate between this time and this time. Security is like this. You know, for this, he knows what I'm referring to. But when they realized that any newcomer then, after that, was going to have to pay a little fee to enjoy the benefits of, of what is happening, just like anybody else.
Mr. Mbogwa, respond.
By structures, I mean administrative structures, whereby commuters can have an opportunity to present their complaints. Number two, there had to be formal training for the drivers and the conductors, because their role really of ferrying the passengers from their residence to their destinations is different from a driver carrying out dead cargo. So it's a situation where we are supposed to come up with a very tight kind of a session.
Somebody up there disagrees with you, Mr. Mbogwa.
This matter of
Your name, sir?
My name is Charles Diambo.
Karibu Charles, makofi kwake. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I would like to disagree with Mr. Mbogwa saying that drivers and conductors should undergo maybe training. These people know what they do very well, but the truth of the matter is the owners press them very much, maybe after work. Somebody is telling you, you are joking with my work. You see, it means hujafanyia kitu, lakini umefanya kazi from morning to evening.
Your hand is up, yes.
Yeah, yes.
I want to put my friend Dixon in terms of welfare of drivers and employees of Matatus. There are two problems. One is that they are exploited by employers, just like my friend Mkabana said.
There is exploitation.
And when we came with the Michuki Rules Legal Notice 161, one of the provisions we placed was that they should be employed on permanent basis, well paid, and statutory deductions. But the owners started saying that these people take off anytime, half of the day the vehicle is broken, and therefore we cannot employ them permanently. And some of the drivers, unfortunately, also says that they prefer being paid on commission. Right. But I think the problem is that drivers must come together so that they have a strong bargaining power. We already have long-distance travel drivers association. They meet with us, they have a bargaining power, but what is happening with the Matatu drivers currently is that the vehicle owner gives you extreme targets. I want 5,000 at the end of the day. They have to overspeed, they have to overload.
But while TLB, don't you regulate pricing? Aren't you supposed to regulate pricing? Aren't you supposed to step in and say, we cannot have from Ongata Rongai to town 120 shillings?
I'll come to that, but what I was trying to say is that the vehicle owner gives them what they want as a daily take home, which is at times out of this world. They say, my profit today is 4,000. The poor drivers.
I agree, and who? You see, the question we're asking: who is there to protect the consumer? Right behind you, because at the end of the day, we don't agree, and there are targets. Every employee has targets. But who steps in and says, while you're meeting your targets, there are consumer rights?
I think that's somewhere where we have really failed. I work for a consumers organization, and the kind of complaints that we receive, particularly in this sector, are just overwhelming. I mean, you look at them and you can't imagine that this is happening on our roads. I think it's also wrong for us to expect that, or to say that it's the Mwananchi who has failed, because the other side of it is that the state, the government is there to protect its people. And if the government has failed in protecting the rights and interests of our people, then there's something wrong in government. I mean, saying that let the people take it upon themselves, then we come to a state of unruliness. I mean, we come to a state where things are very chaotic. Then it's the same government which says, no, don't do that. So I think we won't be allowed to that state of being chaotic, to be banning Matatus and to be doing all sorts of things. What we are calling for is that we have rights.
Exactly.
And the state has a role in protecting these rights.
Good one.
And the regulator has a role and obligation on that. Let them tell us. People have complained to them. What have they done about it?
All right. Let me ask you something. Do you think the government has failed, really, to protect you as a consumer? I can't hear you. We'll be right back on HATUA. Msiende ni kunoma mbaya. You know, let's okay. Kunoma inaitwa HATUA, the show where you take responsibility for your society. We're back now. When we took a break, we're asking, so who is to blame? Is the government to blame? Do you think that the government has failed its people?
I think it has. It has failed to manage the interests, because there are human rights violations to Matatu drivers and touts, the group represented here by Brian. There are definite consumer violation of consumer rights by the government. How doesn't the government protect its citizens from exploitation, from cartels, from being thrown out? How do you just get thrown out of Matatu? Not once. Many people are thrown out of Matatus, and the government does nothing. There's a problem.
Let me interrupt. I think, and this is what bothers me. Looking at my audience here, I can see that many of them use my services or love my services. But not one of them has come up with I have seen on more than one occasion my rights being violated in his presence, and he walks out and leaves me to face the wrath of whatever it may be.
But what do you expect him to? That's what he's used to. Okay. Hold on. How do you expect the consumer to come and talk to you? Because that's what he's used to, Brian.
Oh, Brian,
you should be the first person to go and say, hold on, Simama.
No, I thought I said earlier that if you are having a problem each and every time you walk into a Matatu, you need to have to re-examine the approach that you approach these individuals, because it can't be the same individual. No, I'm saying, no. Listen. I am not infallible to mistakes. I am not infallible to mistakes, Mr. Consumer.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
I am telling you that if you each and every time you come to use my services,
yes,
meaning that you're using mine, I get upset by something you have said, done, whatever. You go to my colleague, he's the same thing. The next one, same scenario. Who's the problem? Is it all of us who are sharing a common opinion, or is it your attitude?
There's a common saying in business that the consumer is always the boss.
Certainly.
I think it's something that is important for you to appreciate.
That's what I am saying.
And to be able to handle.
For those that I do not have a problem with, it means that we have respected each other's boundaries.
Okay, now, listen, good. Now, solutions.
I have a solution here. And having received persistent queries, complaints from the commuters, complaints from other stakeholders, we resolved that and recommended that we create a PSV regulatory board, which is all-inclusive. We should be able to have...
Cosmos, can that work?
No, the operator, just a minute, I have to explain how it works. That has to have the investor, it has also to have representative of the consumer, representative of the government, and bearing in mind we cut across at least 4 ministries. so that the complaints should be able to be addressed accordingly by that regulator, which will have its own outlets out there on the grassroots. Yeah? So that at least all the complaints addressed and the policy matters, the regulation, rules, and what have you are really implemented to the latter.
This is very sad. I've got a question. I've got a question for both. We need to hear the consumer say something. Yes, ma'am, in the
Okay,
red.
I don't think only putting a regulatory board will solve the whole problem. Okay, fine, I actually have a majority of friends who are touts and drivers. But at times, people usually honestly lack in PR, totally. As in, the way they talk to you, they diminish women, as in you really get irritated. So I also think that apart from forming a regulatory board, we also have to train these drivers and touts in public relations.
You raise your hand, ma'am. The lady in black and white down here. Yes. Tell us your name.
My name is Madeline.
Yes, madam.
Okay, I'd like to agree with her on the point of PR, but that has to come two-way.
In what way?
We also have to have PR on our side. And then also, I wanted to talk about on the Matatu people, the way they say it, okay, we also have to help them. We need to value them as in for what they do, so do their owners, because they don't value them. That's why they treat them the way they do and expect them to come up with whatever money out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the rights of anyone should be violated. Okay?
Irrespective.
I do not, I value the contribution that Matatu drivers and touts make.
Before we go to Mr. Cosmas, I need, you had raised your hand up, ma'am? Just, yeah, yes.
As you get there, in valuing their rights, will we sit three? I value you, Brayo, I value you. However, how will I ensure that we're three, not four? Now, Mr. Mbugo is suggesting as a solution the regulation. The regulatory board, right? Tell us, in a few seconds, can it work? And then we come to you, Cosmas.
I noticed that the audience is going into another blame game, starting to look at Brian and thinking Brian is the problem. The problem that we have is quite big. Because we are talking of rights here. We have talked of rights of the drivers. We haven't talked of rights of special people like the disabilities who are thrown in certain areas and have got to walk, mothers, the senior citizens of this country who we are not taking interest of. We have also to take interest on the investors. Investors, I think if I sat down here now to talk on the side of investors and how they are overtaxed and how they are not given a conducive environment, it's completely unpredictable, you'll find the scenario changes. Now, what is the solution then?
Yes.
The solution lies in something that brings together all this. This has been tried elsewhere. I know Brian says we don't have to compare to elsewhere. Brian, we go with best practice in the world. Best practice in the world now says that you must divorce one, infrastructure, then from rolling stock, which are the buses or the matatus, and then the operators. Once you've done that, you create a central body, which is an authority. For Nairobi, for whatever sake, let's call it Metropolitan Transport Authority. That authority comes in for those who have been replaced like London, like Transport for London. They take over the route network. Therefore, they remove people competing for passengers to competing for service delivery through tendering of routes. Once you remove fighting for passengers, everything just enters. Then you have to bring in rules of entry. Not anybody should just come in and get into the Matatu industry. We have to vet. Some of our drivers, if I asked you, could be colorblind.
I see what you mean. Let me, in as far as TLB is concerned, there are many things we do not know about the TLB. Interesting to find out that you actually have the powers to regulate fares, amongst many other things. Just tell us, in as far as a solution to this problem, as a consumer, what must I know that I can use as a tool, or when I get to Brian's Matatu, I can demand these services because I have a right to, and I am protected by you, the government, in asking for those rights.
Thank you, Jimmy. One, I want to clarify the blame that has been flouted around that the government has to be blamed. It appears that we don't know the role of the government. The government makes laws for the operation of the country. Once we make laws, it takes both of us to ensure that those laws are followed. The problem that is existing now, and which I said at the beginning, is that there is defiance and deliberate refusal by Kenyans to follow the law. If Kenyans decide today to follow the road safety regulations, including the drivers, we will not have this problem by tomorrow. We introduced fitting of speed governors. People currently fit and remove the speed governors or put switches so that they overspeed to get money quickly, they overspeed to reach the destinations quickly, they're overspeeding with people inside those vehicles who are just quiet. I think I've clarified that one. The other one about regulation of fares. Though the Transport Licensing Act empowers the TLB to regulate, we operate in a liberalized economy. From the time liberalization began, things were left to market forces of supply and demand. Let me just complete. Let me just complete. If a certain group of matatus today charge 5 shillings, another one charges 10 shillings, people will not board the one that charges 10 shillings, but will board the one.
The problem I have, let me cut you short, Bwana Cosmas. The problem I have is this. When it rains, Brian decides today, or Brian's colleague who's the town decides it's 120 bob from 80 bob.
And you're in the matatu.
And you're in the matatu. That's what I'm asking. Can TLB protect us from that?
That boils down to what I said, that it has taken all of us. The vehicle owner who is greedy, who wants to take advantage of the rain to make quick money, and the people is trusted.
So how am I protected by TLB? How am I, as a consumer, protected?
The TLB regulates and license, but unfortunately, liberalization does not allow us to say today from this place to another place is 10 shillings. We tried that when we introduced the Michuki rules, but we realized that prices are dictated by so many things, including the kind of vehicles you are boarding, the kind of company, the kind of destination.
We need to wrap up. We need to wrap up. Bwana Ocheng, we need to wrap up.
Can I say something?
Please do.
I think the TLB has a lot of powers. And for once, we thought that if there would be complaints and serious violations even by operators, then the TLB would have power to de-license, you know, to even not renew the licenses. And I think this is a crucial power, that if they would be able to tap, to have a hotline where consumers can say, Matatu number this is doing this, and if they have a way of verifying it, then they will take action on that. I think some of these things should stop. The second thing I would want to say, as part of the solutions,
we're running out of time.
As part of the solutions, I think that there was a government move recently, which I don't know where it has faded, but there was a mention of a rule to systematically phase out Matatu. Phase out Matatu in that try to get us to big seaters, you know, try to move us into buses, try to move us into, you know, trains and things that are going to carry more people. I think if we do that, because the way the Matatu industry started, it was that it was the poor man's business.
But can we
and
do
now
that?
They are buying more and more Matatus, and it's causing more and more problem. I think that what should happen is that we should move towards encouraging them to buy bigger vehicles and get them into more regulation and to get them to a more formal organization where you have where to complain and you have where to
Asante. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Very quickly, kitu kimoja, very quickly, and it must be a solution, very quickly.
Mimi naitwa Abdul.
What's the Abdul? Sema
hivi. Hii gava kuna tunatusaidia vile TLB anatuambia. Kawa hizi regulatory prices, basi hakuna kitu tunatufanyia basi.
Hakuna kitu tunafanya.
The government, yeah.
Okay, we need to wind up. We need to wind up. Sema ukweli mazee, hii historia ya Matatu ni story kubwa sana. It is clear mtu akona job yake ya kufanya. All of us must do something. Just like Bwana Cosmas has said, it takes all of us to make this industry work. Let's listen to what Bwana Mukabana has said. Brian, you must also be able to listen to what they are saying. Let's all work together and create a proper industry. That is my HATUA. Yako?
Me, I'll just say this. First and foremost, I want to thank all my loyal customers. They're very important. And just to add one more thing, because apparently I've realized that even as you speak, you fail to remember that even I have people who love me, who depend on what I do and push just like any of you. I want to give you the service that you demand. I do my best, and I'm not talking about me as Brian, I'm talking about me as the industry. The operatives, that driver and that tout, they wake up with their bad days. Right. They've got good days. We've got people in hospital. Please don't forget that.
Good one.
And remind Mr. TLB that with every policy that you put out to regulate me,
he must involve you.
You're putting me in trouble because the police officers have different interpretations.
Good one.
Right. We have to appreciate that everyone has their right in this industry. But let's remember that we make sure that our right doesn't infringe on someone else's right. And that is my HATUA.
And mine. Yako ni gani bana? I'm Jimmy Gath.
And I'm Ann Mitaru.
Next
Thanks
week,
for joining us. And see you next week.
Tangu zamani haki zetu hatukujua, umefikia wakati wako nami kuchukua hatua. Haki na ukweli tumekuwa tukililia, wazee kwa vijana